Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and today this is the introduction to Machiavelli's Discourses. The actual title of the work is, well, of course, do I have my copy here? But, where is my copy here? It's driving me crazy. It was here, and it's now disappeared. Wow, oh, there it is. I'm using, not using the Alvarez's edition, but I want to get the title from it because it's easy in that sense. It's the Discourses Discourses on Machiavelli. Technically, it's called the Discourses on the first decade of Titus Livy. In other words, the first 10 books, or the first decade of Livy's famous history. Now, I'm going to be using the Mansfield for the purposes of the class. I'm using the Mansfield and Tarcov translation published by University of Chicago. I'm looking at the Italian. I've also used my illegal copy of De Alvarez. I bound it myself. I had a binding of it so it doesn't fall apart my photocopy thing from Niccolò. So why I did that is so I have a copy of it. I can look at the Alvarez translation, which is not published, and it's probably not going to be published because of De Alvarez's kind of reservations about trying to publish it. I would hope he did publish it, but I almost had it published through St. Augustine's Press, but De Alvarez kind of put the brakes on it. I was like, oh, why? It only required a little effort on his part, not even to write an introduction essay, but merely give a kind of tell me what edition you're using for the Italian. And he wouldn't do it, so it's like very frustrating. The Discourses are a very interesting book because the Discourses are often said to be at odds with the Prince. We all know Machiavelli. Most people know Machiavelli because of the Prince, and the reputation of him being a devious kind of conniving advocate of autocratic rule, right? But that's not a fair understanding of what Machiavelli is up to. In many cases, it often the way the Prince is understood, and the way the Prince is presented, and the way the Prince is opposed by people. It is presented as Machiavelli is seen as in a very restricted light. The Discourses offers a different view. But the problem with this is then this leads to a kind of either Machiavelli is A or B. The Discourses are his kind of his Republican side, and the Prince is his monarchist or autocratic side. And the problem with that reading itself is also misleading as well. The Discourses often is seen as the Republican teaching of Machiavelli, but is that correct? And this is one of the things we're going to be tackling with in this our attempt to go over the Discourses. Is how should we understand what Machiavelli is doing here? Now, the Discourses itself are a very interesting book because, they weren't really published in Machiavelli's lifetime, on their own. I mean, this is why it was. What is it? It was It was only published after his death. With the estimated period when he wrote it was, so it was published after his death, with a papal privilege in 1531, quite contrary to the condemnation that was given to the prince, by the papacy. So Again, the title of the book itself subjects to the first 10 books of Livy's Rome, history of Rome, also known as the Ab Urba Contida, right? That's the Urba, the city of Rome, the Rome, the Urba, which means the city, and urban, right? That's where you get the word urban from, which relates to the expansion of Rome to the end of the Samnite War, okay? Now, what is so important about this? Now, it is a very, it has a dedication. The structure of it is very, it has an introduction dedication letter, epistle dedicatory. It has 3 books, with 2 of the first books having preface or a kind of introduction to the books, with a total of 142 numbered chapters. The first 2 books, but not the third, are introduced by unnumbered prefaces. Again, that's so. The much mention has been given to the fact that Livy's history also contains 142 books, right? That's why it's the echo, right? The history, Livy's account of this contained 142 books with introduction, as well as other numerological curiosities, and in other words, the echoes of things. The echo of what we joke. I mean, this is one of the things that some people say. Well, wait a minute. The Prince has what? The Prince has 26 chapters with an introduction, an epistle. So that's 27. Doesn't that echo the? Doesn't that kind of perfectly echo the Scripture? The New Testament in that sense. The New Testament. Okay, so there's how the Prince is kind of an imitation of the New Testament in terms of the structure, the number of chapters, and versus the number of books in the New Testament. Whereas in the Discourses, the number of books, chapters, the 142 chapters plus the dedicatory letter, echoes what the number of books in the Livy in that sense. So there's a kind of playfulness and something going on in Machiavelli about the tension of this. Now, the first book focuses on actions taken inside the city by the councils, right? The second book, Machiavelli later notes as at the end of the second preface, right, addresses public councils regarding matters external powers, right? And although the structure would seem to suggest additional 2 books, right? In other words, that you'd have to have, there's only one more, which deals with the private councils concerning both internal and external matter. So therefore, the structure is that public council is divided in internal, just external, and the third chapter completes it looks at private counsel, right? The private counsels of things. Now, I'm not going to get into I don't think I really want to get into the overall aspect of what Machiavelli is trying to do here, because I think this would get us far afield to what we want to do in our evaluation in our attempt to go into the discourses. Again, this will lead us to the fact that how we're going to proceed. I'm going to proceed as I did in my other things here, these things. We're going to look at the text. We're going to talk about the text, reflect on the text. And therefore, the first thing we will look at is the epistle dedicatory in that sense, which I'll do in a separate video. And we will then have a separate video for every chapter. Okay? So I'll read the chapter, we'll go over the chapter, and we will then think about the implication of what the chapter says in that sense. And that's the way we will go. So some videos may be very short, other videos may be rather long, some chapters there. Because in other words, the chapters of Machiavelli's discourses are not even. Okay, and they're more, sometimes some of them are much more uneven than others in that sense. So therefore, again, this is why one of the reasons why in the Montesquieu I stuck to the book, but even the books were not, they were uneven in that sense. If we went, and some people might argue, well, why don't you do, I don't want to do the books because I don't want to do 3 videos and they'll be too long. Why don't you merge some things together, equal things, and that creates an arbitrary selection process, which plagued the, if I was going to redo the Montesquieu, would be to chapter by chapter. It would not take forever. It might take a year or 2 to go through the whole shorter videos. In fact, there's a joke on this. I would not even bother doing one, because one book has one chapter. Okay, that one of the near the end books, the Roman chapter. That's really weird. So it only has one chapter, and it's the whole book, right? So that is, and I could just repeat that one. It would be not worth rereading that whole thing, because it would be several hours long in that sense. Well, but with the purpose of the print, Discourses here, I'm going to be doing it the way I did all the other ones, chapter by chapter. So we'll see what we're doing. I'm giving you a heads up on this. Please follow us, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Encourage others to come check us out. When we do it, it'll be from the point of view of the release of this thing. We will start at the last week of January, the very end of January, because we're at this time in the video as a thing with the group for the remainder of period of January. This is done, recorded. I'm releasing the politics. They're finishing up the series. The politics series is wrapping up. I hope everyone will enjoy this. I will expect to see everyone. If you've not followed me, please do subscribe. Do encourage others to subscribe. If you like what I've seen, hit the like button. Please, helping the like button will hit improve the status of things people finding it on the search. Another thing is, if you can follow me on social media, the social media links are below. Also the academic social media, which you can check out my scholarship and my research as a political scientist in that sense, as a political theorist. I hope you all, if you want to help me, you can do so by buying one of my books. If not, you can also check things out in terms of through Patreon or Subscribestar if you wish. Take care, and I wish you a great day. I hope everyone will join us as we go through the discourses. Take care. Bye-bye.